Boop.
All right, we'll do hello.
Recording in progress.
Okay, well, I can wait.
So we just leave right
You want me to say join? The bottom one?
I just want to see if there's any other options.
The speaker and microphone.
Computer audio. Yeah, it goes into. So it is. Like that speaker. Okay. Test. Wait, let me go here. Testing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You were hearing over there, so I need to change that to this.
I'm moving. I can't see that.
Test. Speak. Test.
See, there you go.
Well,
I didn't. I said, okay.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
how are you?
Doing well.
Thank you so much for
I'll just go ahead and
coming.
hit that. No, not that one. So yes.
Trying to get everything set up here.
That's still on
Do you want the
there, so yes.
microphone to come through the room?
No, we don't. We got it all done.
Got it.
Got it. Set up here.
Do you want the microphone to come through the room?
No, they don't. We got it all done. So in test is what I want to do, Mike.
Okay.
And then it does this. And I say,
Go ahead.
it just says test.
Recording in progress.
That's because this.
Oh, I already assigned it.
So I'm leaving. Okay, well, I have to.
Testimonials, do you have any? You don't have any testimonials? But we just turned this into like one big picture. No, thank God, okay.
Microphone is here. So I've never done this before.
Ah, you're real high tech.
Yeah, we'll see. So Amanda, have you ever met, this is my husband, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
And this is Amanda. She is, will you run the? Here, oh, you are Hazel. Where'd Hazel go?
Hazel retired.
She did.
So her last day is this month. So she's, I've been back here since March.
Okay.
March 1st. And she's been 2 days a week. So now she's going down to no days a week. which is very
Wow.
sad.
See, this is gonna be odd.
If we get more people than what we have space for in here, we can open the back up.
I don't think we will.
Yeah. This is always a good class, your business plan class.
You know, I am getting ready to schedule them for the actual business planning. So this one, yeah, this one is really beginners, but I'm going to send out an email to all the managers if they want it personally in their office, or I'm also going to do it on Zoom. So, but it's season, right?
It's going to change, I think. I think we're going to go back to more.
Lockdown, unfortunately. Well, I'm vaccinated and I got to have COVID, so I got it both. Got
My
COVID
daughter-
after.
My daughter's vaccinated too, and she got COVID. Being vaccinated.
It wasn't bad though. Yeah, I did. Michael didn't catch it from me, and my parents, who are really at risk, and I take care of them. They live with me. They did not catch it, and so I was like, "Well, thanks the Lord for that." But I was only sick one day, and I didn't really know I had it, and I got tested because my teeth hurt. I know, it's like, well, this is just weird. So this must be COVID. It was.
Did you lose your sense of taste?
No, I did not lose that. The worst thing I had was a runny nose that would not stop. It just ran and ran and ran and ran. But I thought it was allergies and it was happening.
Where we were at, the air was just full of cotton ones. Just
Yeah.
we're like,
But we were in the
horrible.
same, I mean, obviously didn't know about it. We slept in the same bed and yeah, this is really fortunate.
So random. I think that my fiance had COVID. He had the worst cough. He felt horrible. He lost his sense of taste.
He did? Oh,
He went to the COVID test. Negative.
maybe, oh, well, that's weird, huh?
That's weird. And so my daughter, when she went to the doctor, she had a COVID test. It came back negative. So the next day she went because she thought she had strep throat.
Oh, no.
So they put her on antibiotics. Then they redid the COVID test with the one up the nose, and it came back.
Wow, really?
She works from home anyway, so she's fine. But
Yeah, that's good that she worked from home, but honestly,
she was sick
That-
for 2 days and then.
that for people that are vaccinated that have it, like me, that not knowing, I mean, that's kind of scary. So I've started wearing my mask and stuff again when I'm out in public places, just so that, I mean, I got it. I worry about him. He hasn't had it yet. So I don't think he'll get sick, but
Maybe you had it, but you were.
he
I
might have.
thought of
Yeah,
that possibility.
yeah. I mean, especially so close. I mean, I wasn't quarantined from you. I had it for 7 days before I even knew it. Who knows? Anyway, I'm glad. I'm glad it's over. My parents, they're still plugging, and I think that's amazing. So they'll get their booster next month. And yeah, my dad shouldn't even be alive right now. He's 2 years into a 6-month hospice program. Like, why are you still here? Well, I'm glad, but it's really weird that he's still plugging. But I guess that's what happens when I take good care of him. So I'm looking forward to this class. I've done so many Zoom classes. This is the first one I've done in person in seems like forever. Seriously. Yeah, well,
So with the business planning class.
mhm.
Because you're the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we have two bookings after that, and then we're scheduled like, so that'll be in October, that day.
Mhm. that's about good timing. Yeah. Get them in before the holidays, totally, at maybe earlier part of November. And yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna send out an email later today. But yeah, I mean, if we want to just get you, if you want to book, we can just do it. Get you on first.
We are always Thursdays, 10 o'clock, is their training.
Okay, so, well, that's good. So you're really consistent.
Yeah, and we can choose whatever office. If Loveland's better for you because it's closer, we can make everybody go to
It doesn't matter. We figured out it was only about,
10.
well, maybe 20 with the traffic on the highway, but that's about it. So I was thinking it was going to be more like 45, but I don't know what I was thinking. So I could do yours on Thursday, the 11th.
Oh, November? Perfect.
11/11, Veterans Day.
Veterans Day.
And at 10 o'clock is when you do that, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Did
so
you want to do it here or Loveland?
either way, here's fine. If you could think you'll get more people, here's fine.
We have probably will get more people here.
Yeah, let's do it here then.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll
so
put that in the schedule. What else?
I have to take mom and dad to the doctor. So that business planning class though is. You think we could do it at 9:30?
Yep.
Let's do it at 9:30. That way I can get back and get mom and dad to the doctor. So 9:30 to 11:30. No, actually, I think that's gonna be too tight. That's their pulmonologist and it's at Union. So let's change this.
Following or-
How about November 4th?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it then. And at 10 o'clock, because I got the whole day.
Hey, David. We're on real time, so you might just be are you going to do the class?
Yeah, I was gonna Zoom.
Hi, yeah, you can Zoom too.
I think I'll do that. I'm expecting a bunch of phone calls today, so.
Oh, you gotta focus. No distractions.
Okay, so I've got you 10 o'clock, November 4th. Yeah. And that way it'd be right on time and no problems there. That pulmonology, when we set that appointment 6 months in advance, my dad said to the doctor, he's like, "Well, you're optimistic." It's coming right around the corner here. So, okay. So this is good though. So they can see, that's what Zoom can see.
Yep.
And
How
cool.
are you gonna be when you're talking?
I'm gonna be talking to them. They're just gonna see.
Or to be on, you have to be in, but
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Sarah, you're active.
I know, I saw yesterday.
what if we?
Yes, let's do that. That's better. I don't really want to be on the Zoom, so that's good.
This is Joyce and Sarah.
Hi,
How are you, Mike?
nice to meet you.
Seriously licensed for one day.
Oh, congrats.
This is a great start.
It's the first day of the rest of your life.
Actually, it might not even be 24 hours.
No, it was like late yesterday when it popped up.
Yeah.
Congrats.
That's awesome. Congrats, yeah. What did you do before?
You can't get out of
I
this.
was in property management for a long time.
Oh, you're
Oh,
already
I did that
trapped.
too. That
Yeah.
stinks.
Yes.
Yeah, this is so much better.
You either love it or hate it. I wasn't loving it the last few years, so.
Were you with a company?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I was with Sibo Miller back in the day. Trammell Crow, Sibo Miller.
Is there another office I can use while she's doing her class or a conference room or anything?
Yes. Although we have no free offices.
Congratulations.
Let me go see if conference room is available. Do you need it for the full 2 hours?
No, I don't
You could sit in business planning too. He's my husband. He gets it constantly. So we're a team. We have 3 agents with our team. And yeah, it's been a long time. So I've been in the business like 35 years now. It's like, oh my God, it's really, but I came right out of college
Yeah.
into the business. Yeah. My parents were in the business forever. And so I came right out of college, joined their team, and I've always been on a team. So they retired and I took over the team. So it's always been that way. And so you guys have your books, yes? Awesome. 9:53. So very good. What's that? Oh, I like it. Nice. Nice sticker. That's right. We need something.
If you need me, I'm gonna be right out here at the end of the hall.
All right. Sounds good. It's the first time I've done a class on Zoom and in person. And this should work. Let's see. I think it's all working. Ask everybody that they can hear me. This is working, yes, Michael? Cute. Where did he go? Out here? Yeah, I bet he just went to the restroom or something. I'm like, oh, I lost him already. Oh, hi, sorry. Oh, good, okay.
I can't sneak up on anybody.
No. What's your name?
Abby, I forget my name.
You're Abby, awesome.
Like, dear Abby, I have a
Oh, that's memorable. That's awesome. Can you guys hear online? Do you hear Tracy? Hopefully. Nikki's muted. Hi there.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Hey.
I just don't know if they can hear me, so. They can? Okay, awesome. Good deal. Okay. Nice. Awesome. Thank you. Good deal.
Got me logged in here.
Huh?
That's crazy.
I did, but she's not there. She's not officially there. Okay. Well, it's amazing. A year ago, we had snow. And today we have 96 degrees. It's like, wow. I was kind of hoping it'd cool off a little bit. It's so hot. It's been really smoky. I noticed on our way up here too. It's really been really smoky up here too, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like, it doesn't smell bad like it did last year though.
Yeah.
Like the ash.
Yeah, because it's far away. Thank God. It's not coming into the backyard this year. Oh, that was horrible.
Lots of laugh, explanation point. Now I'm on a Zoom call.
Mhm. Hi there. Doing great. So this is the first time I've ever done a class on Zoom and in person. And so this is
Maybe the grape soda I bought you will wake you up.
hybrid. Oh. Very good. Very good. What time we have here? 9:50. Well, wait, we'll get started here in a little bit. Just your printouts. Yeah. You're going to basically get a lot of homework today. Because you can't do your entire business plan in 2 hours. But you're going to have all of the tools that you need to get it done today. Yeah.
Alexa, turn it down.
I know, they pull out your feelings too.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you. Okay. We have about 10 o'clock straight up. So let's go ahead and just do some of our formalities. If you have your phone, please put it on vibrate. If you need to take a call, please go ahead and just step out and take the call. This is the first time that we've had the class on Zoom as well as in person. So hopefully it all works with the microphone and questions. So we'll see how that goes. If I'm going along and somebody raises their hand or something, if you'd let me know, that would be really helpful. So just a little bit about me. I have been in real estate for 35 years now, and I've always been part of a team. I came into real estate. My family had a real estate company. I joined their team, and I grew with them. And after about 35 years, they retired. So they just retired a couple of years ago, actually. And they're still consultants to the team. And it's wonderful to have that resource. But it's also been a really great experience working through and having that support. So I am a team person, but I've coached a lot of people that are independent as well. And so I'm available for questions if you have any thoughts on that, teams and independent. As far as this class, so this really is the beginner class. And so what I'm going to do is we'll have 4 sessions, and each session will cover an important part of the real estate business. So today is going to be business planning, and it's really important that you have a plan. And so you'll leave today with all the tools that you need to put together a really fantastic plan for your next year. And you're going to have the homework because you'll have to work on that to really fine tune it. Then the next one is going to be working with buyers. And then working with sellers is the third class, and then just lead generation in general, where to find all the people. Your business development is the fourth class. And so really you cover all of the basics in these 4 classes. And then I'm going to really encourage you to consider in your next 6 months to go into one of the programs, whether it's a Buffini or Tom Ferry or somebody that can really help you take it to the next level. So let me go over what is actually in the, I would say your packet, but it'd be in the email this time. So you have your workbook, and that's what we're going to work out of today. A couple of things that I really do like. The lead sourcing tracker is a very helpful tool. When you're sitting down and you're doing your prospecting, this really just helps you to track who you have been talking with, and then you can go back later and put your notes in your CRM. Or if you're really good at doing it as you go, put those notes in your CRM. It's very important to keep track of what you've been talking about, and it's hard if you don't do it right then. Then you've got, yeah. Oh, that's not in your workbook. That's in the email. Yeah. So I'll let you know what's in the email. You don't need all these things today. They're resources for you. It's an attachment in that email. So we're not going to work off of those today. I'm just going to go over what they are. There was 3 scripts. So you've got, I'm new to real estate, I'm in real estate, reminder, and new to Remax Alliance. So those are 3 really basic scripts, and you've got to practice and make them your own, or they're going to sound like they're in a can. So it doesn't matter that you're word for word, you have to make it your own and get across the same concepts, basically. So the next thing in here is Tom Ferry's memory jogger. And it's in your email. You'll find it. It's 144 possible people that you could put in your database. Really just helps you because you build your database. It's really important as you're starting out in your career that you build a foundation, and that's your database. So your foundation is your database. We're going to talk a lot about that. The memory jogger, Tom Ferry's memory jogger, is super helpful on just getting familiar with some of the people you might not think about, and then you can add them. And at some point you're going to really clean up that database, but until now there's really no reason why anybody that you have a relationship with that you shouldn't be able to exchange. You're in real estate and possibly be a resource for them. So today we're going to figure out though how many you're going to need in your database to support your real estate goals. And so that is all part of the numbers, and business planning is the numbers. And I can tell you that realtors are not great numbers people. We're people. And so this first session is working with a lot of numbers. And when we start working with buyers and sellers, it gets a little more fun because we're talking about people instead of numbers. But the numbers really do matter. We're in a relationship business, but we have to track the numbers in order to track our business and to make it happen. So with that, we have online with us, we've got, looks like we have about 6 people. Hi, everybody. Can you hear okay? Just thumbs up. Awesome. Good deal. Okay, well, let's just get started then. I like this first part as discussion. And so let's see where the best part is. See where it can actually be a teacher. There we go. So think about these questions. So on page 2 of your workbook, there are some questions that really are important for you to consider. What would you consider to be your greatest strength? And now think about the business that you've been in the past, different careers and things that you've done that you've enjoyed, because your strengths are usually something that you enjoy and that you're good at. So think about those things and how is that going to benefit you in your business? Everybody's coming from some previous career or business where they have something that is going to help them and be a resource for them going forward, whether you were in customer service or even if you were in daycare, it's still going to help, because we are in a business where we're working with people and we're helping to solve their problems. And so whatever experiences you've had you're bringing to this new career. And I will say there is in your email, the unique value proposition is an exercise that you can do that will really help you to articulate that special value that you bring. And so that was something that is going to be your homework. I'll remind you about that a little bit later too. Then what would you consider to be your greatest weakness? It might be something that you want to be aware of. I know that, with people I've coached, sometimes it's getting started, and now you're in a self-starting business. And so keeping aware of that and knowing how that's going to affect your business and putting things in place to help you overcome some of those challenges is going to be important. And so think about those things. How will it affect your business, and what can you do to kind of put things in place to overcome those strategies? It's different when you go from being on the clock to you're on your own clock now. You are the president of your company. And so every morning you have to wake up and decide whether you would hire yourself or fire yourself based on your performance. And your self-esteem goes way down when you're feeling that you would fire yourself. And so it's really important to meet your own expectations and to try to keep up on that, to keep your attitude and your energy up. Do you consider yourself a learning-based person? In real estate, we're constantly learning. Things are constantly changing. The market's constantly changing, and just everything, the whole programs, loans, just a constantly changing and moving business, which is great because it never gets boring. We say that there is a book of real estate that's never finished. There's always a new chapter. And in 35 years, I still got new chapters in this book. And like COVID took up a whole couple chapters. That was totally different. And we're still dealing with that. But it's wonderful in that it's never really boring. This business is always changing, and it's up to you to make it what you want it to be. And so my coach, I have a Buffini coach. I think that coaching is a great way to keep yourself motivated, not necessarily because a coach exactly tells you what to do, but when you have people that you're accountable to and your focus partners, it helps you stay on track. So I'm a great proponent of coaching. And so my coach calls a person has to be fat, and like, what? So, and to be a coachable type person, you've got to be flexible, right? So everything isn't always going to go as planned. You have to be available so that you're there and you show up, and then you have to be trainable. And that's probably one of the hardest things. There are a lot of people that think that they already know how to do it, and they are what we call uncoachable, because they're going to do things their own way. And in this business, you really want to follow the models, the things that work before you, and then get creative. And being coachable is very important. Learning from your experiences, learning from other agents. It's something that we have as a benefit, and agents are awesome at sharing information. And, if you don't have somebody that is a mentor to you or somebody that you can shadow, that's a great person to seek out, that partner that will help you learn. A learning-based person. And just one thing I wanted to mention on this, NAR did a study of the highest producing and most successful agents and how often they attended a training program in a year, how many training programs. And it could be a meeting, it could be something that was a webinar, or it could be something that was a conference or something that was a little more elaborate. But the interesting thing is 52 a year was the average that your high producers are attending. And so learning-based people are constantly sharpening the saw, and that keeps you on top of your business. And so that I thought was just really interesting, because people think, oh, well, they're going to go do their CE credit every year. And I tell you, if you look at someone in the business and all they do is the minimum to do their CE credit, they're not going to have the type of business that you want to have. It's going to be minimal. And those are pretty much people that are like close to retirement and that really aren't growing their business doing the minimal. So that's not you, because you're with Remax Alliance. You're certainly not minimal. And do you have a plan? That's hard to do when you're coming into the business. You will after today, though. You will have a plan, but having a business plan is extremely important because if you don't have a plan, you just have a wish, right? And in this business, you can wish all day long, but it doesn't pay the bills. And then this is a really big one. What is your biggest concern regarding your transition? I don't want to have you be fearful. This is a wonderful business. And if you like people, then you're going to do really well because this really is all about people and learning what they need and helping them solve their problems. And when you start looking at those people as they're not dollar signs, they're not numbers, they're people just like you and I. And we develop relationships and we help change lives. And that's what makes this a really fun business. So think about what it is that you're apprehensive about, if anything. And then what are you excited about? And let me just ask, does anybody have an answer to that? What you're really excited about going into real estate? Yes.
I'm very excited to get my first client and find a house for them.
Awesome.
That's what-
And so what's your name?
Tiffany Morse,
You're Tiffany. And how long have you been in the business?
since June.
Good. Okay. So you came in a really hard time. So all of you did, actually. It has been more challenging to be in real estate during the time of COVID than any other time. Although we've done really well. And I really think that there's going to be a lot of these tools like Zoom that we continue to have going forward. It's been a great tool, and we've been able to work with clients across the country now with Zoom. And it's funny because you talk to people in other businesses, like we have some clients that work over at Google, and they're like, "Man, you guys are out of the dark ages. We've been doing this for a long time," and so like we're catching up now. But they said that in real estate, that in the short period of time that we had during COVID, we caught up about 10 years. In technology. So you might have noticed that a lot of people that have been in the business a long time that don't like technology decided to retire. You might have noticed that. They're like, oh, too much. You can't do this. Now I think it's important to know what you're excited about because that's really going to help take you through because it doesn't always happen overnight. And you've got to have that energy to keep you going to the goal because some of the most successful people I know, an example, Nikki Thompson out of the Old Town office. She went her first year where she didn't sell. She worked toward having that first set of business, but it took a year, and she does over $1 million a year now. And so she's kind of a poster child for RE/MAX Alliance in the Denver area. She's done a lot internationally too. So if you're not familiar with Nikki Thompson, you'll see her name out there. And I know that she does some classes and things. So she's a great example, just a really real person that got started in the business and had the same challenges that we all do getting started and turned out super successful now, just hyper successful. So it's important to keep an eye on the things that you're nervous about, but also the things you're excited about. And if you have any apprehensions, talk to your managers. They're here to support you and to help you. And you're really your owner of your own business now, but you're not alone. You're not on an island. You've got a ton of agents around you. And I think we have almost 900 people with RE/MAX Alliance, and they're all happy to help. So good people. Your next page 3 is your first test.
Hey, Heidi,
Yes.
I didn't know if you wanted to change your slides on the screen or not.
I am going to just unshare because we don't need it until we actually do go into the models. There. Wow, look, we have a lot more people than it showed. Good to see everybody. So now we're on page 3. This is your first test. You're just answering your current reality. So that can be kind of difficult, but let's just go through these. I want you to mark A, B, C, D, or F on each one. And then at the end, you're going to pick 3 of these to work on. Bob, are you asking a question? Okay, unmute yourself. What's your question?
I'm trying to. Thank you. You keep referring to a workbook. I have several handouts, but I'm not aware that I have a workbook.
Okay, the workbook was in the email and it looks like this. Introduction to real estate. I don't know if you can see this. There
I
we go.
cannot see what you're holding. There, okay.
There.
Okay, introduction to real estate. I don't have that in the email, but I see it on the screen. It used to be on the screen.
Well, I'm
I'll check.
I'm not using it on the screen, but it is in the email. Did you get the email from me?
I don't have it as well. I have the email with a bunch of attachments, but not that one.
Yeah, I didn't get an email from you that I'm aware of. I got an email from Amanda and I printed and I have all those attachments, but I'm not aware of one from you, but I will keep looking.
Okay, well, let me just take 1 second here to see if I can help out because I did send it to Nicole this morning. And so I know it's right here on my phone.
It's the business planning one is what it starts with.
Module 1, business plan.
Oh, it's business planning for the new and relaunching agent.
That's
workbook?
it.
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. Everybody else, you found it? Okay, and please, I'm Heidi@HeidiGreer.com. If you need to text me or send me an email, I'm happy to provide any materials if you were missing anything. Just send me a note and I'll get them to you ASAP. And so do flag me down if you have a question. And thank you for that, Bob. Okay. So now the test. So you're going through page 3 and you're just judging yourself and you're going to pick 3 things that you really feel are important to work on. So you're grading yourself. That's your test. So attitude and mindset, setting goals and strategic planning. How are you at tracking numbers? How are your systems? How are you at financial management and profitability? That one comes up a lot in my experience classes too. So that's a big one. Risk management and regulatory knowledge. Contract knowledge. You guys up here, you have one of the best contract teachers that I've ever known in Doug Dodds. He's so amazing. So he's awesome. Your branding. You know, you have the Remax brand, which is amazing. Love the stickers you guys have here. But your own personal brand is something too. What experience do people have when they do business with you? Because that is what they're referring as their experience. How are you at lead generation? Prospecting, which is one-to-one versus marketing, which is just a message to all. How are you at lead follow-up? You wouldn't believe how many experienced agents let leads burn up on their desk because they didn't call them back. And you got to be pretty quick. Like within about 15 minutes, you've got to respond or they go to somebody else. At least a auto response that says you're busy and you'll get back with them as soon as possible. Lead conversion, that's really important. If you've got the leads, you want to make sure that you are building skills to be able to convert them to be your clients. Sphere of influence, this is hugely important. You may not have past clients now, but your inner circles are the people that you know that are your advocates and the people that will refer you. Database management, that is important. And so we're going to talk about database. And database is not the program. Your database is the data in the program. What you're using for your program, your CRM, your contact relationship manager is really important. So you want to have a good one there. And I think, do you guys use a lot of Top Producer up here? Or is there something specific that you've been using? The Vault. Yeah, the Vault. It's Bouge. It's important that you're using one and that you can keep up on the data and make notes. And I don't think it's as important which one you use, that you're using one is most important. Buyer consultation, listing presentation, both of those you get better over time because you haven't possibly had the experience. I do apologize for that. Yeah, I should have a fine, huh? Oh, that's terrible. Your CMA and pricing skills, you know, that's one that a lot of agents are nervous about when they come into the business because you don't want to leave any money on the table. You don't want to overprice either. So there are some really great courses you can take just about pricing, but we're going to work on some of those skills a little bit through our class when we do our seller presentation. Handling objections. We always have them. You're going to find out basic objections. There's only a handful, and you'll get scripts that work for you. The objections are typically commission, price, similar things, like they don't want to do the repairs and things like that. So the objections are minimal. You'll have good scripts to help you through those. And as you build your business, it doesn't change. A lot of those same objections come up time and time again, and you get really polished at being able to handle them and knowing what the objection is going to be and being ready for it. So the better you learn the scripts, the more confidence you'll have in every interaction in your real estate. And Buffini likes to call them dialogues. I like that too. Script sounds a little stringent, but dialogues, it's a dialogue that you're having with people. And I'll give you some extras on that later. Closing skills. There are a lot of different ways to close, and we'll be looking at, are you a direct closer? Maybe you're an indirect closer. It depends on your comfort level. You don't have to try to be somebody else. You get to be yourself in this business, which is awesome. And the people that you're going to do business with know you, like you, and trust you. So you have to be yourself. Negotiating skills and people skills, those are really important. We're in a people business, but our real value when the rubber hits the road, we earn our commissions by our negotiation skills. Anybody can get online and look at houses. That's the fun part. It always cracks me up when they say they don't need a realtor because they can find a house. Yeah, get it to the closing table. That's where our real value comes in. And with happy people. That is, you get to the closing table with happy parties and everybody's singing Kumbaya, then you've really done a good job. Customer service, that's what we do. We're in a service industry. We don't have anything to sell except our service. That's what we do. Your scripts and dialogues, like I said, there's only so many that you'll need. You're going to get new scripts and new dialogues every class that we do, whether it's working with buyers or sellers. And then I have a special one today for everybody that is in attendance. That is special dialogues that a whole booklet of them. That is wonderful stuff that I got from my Buffini coach. So for those of you online, I think that there are more people here than I may have on my database. So will you please send me an email? Heidi@HeidiGreer.com. It's HEIDIGREER.com, because if you did not get your materials, I want to make sure that you do. And I want to make sure that you get the extras I send out too. So I will watch for your email. Make sure that you get everything that you need. Leverage, leverage isn't something that you need a lot of right now, but when you have a lot of leads coming in, you're going to need to have some leverage so that you've got somebody that you can pass them to, refer them to. The thing that you don't want to do is have them burn up like a lot of experienced agents do. They don't want to let go of any leads, so they don't. And instead of following up, they burn it up, which is crazy. So leverage is important. You need leverage. You can leverage people. You can leverage systems. And so we'll talk a lot about your systems and getting those in place today. And then time management. That's a big one for most people. And learning how to manage your time in this business is really important because you are self-employed and you can spend all your time doing busy work, or you can spend time doing business. And we're going to talk about the difference because they're both important. Your busy work is important, but you can't spend all your time there. Just like you can't spend all your time in school. So with these are different skills that you'll need in the real estate business, but you can't build everything all at once. So pick up like 3 of them. That's what the little boxes are for, to circle or check. And those are the things that you're going to really want to work on. And then when we go later in the class, when we're doing goals, keep that in mind. Things that need to happen to get you where you need to go. And so that's as difficult as the test gets today. But it's kind of hard when you're testing yourself on your own reality.
Okay.
Next, I want to talk a little about your big why. Do you know why you went into real estate? It might have been because you didn't like your other job, or you hated the corporate life, or you wanted to be your own boss, or you wanted to make more money. There are so many different reasons, but you have to dig a little deeper. So why is it important that you're successful? And then if it's to make the money and pay the bills, but you got to dig deeper than that, because usually I've never met any one person that was about the money. It was about what the money did, whether it gave them security or it gave them the ability to travel or whatever it was that they wanted. The money itself wasn't the goal. It was what it would provide. So you think about that. What is your big why? Because that is one of the common things that drives people. People that are most successful have an idea why they're doing what they're doing. You'll have a lot of hard days. Fortunately, in this business, probably not as many as you would in some other businesses, but there will be hard days, and there will be days when you wonder why. And having an idea of what drives you will help you get through some of those more difficult times. I also, so that's what's behind your big why, and digging 3 levels deep is really important, because it's not about the money. It's what's important to you, but also your mission statement. That's why you're doing this. So every business that's a legitimate business has a mission statement, right? Do you know what Remax Alliance mission statement is? Probably not. You're new. It's positively enhancing people's lives. Clients, agents, all of the people. The mission is to positively enhance people's lives. And so what is your mission? Growing up, my mom, she always had a very simple mission, and I remember it forever and ever: making a positive difference in the lives of my buyers and sellers. And that's what it was. That's the mission for her. And so what is your mission? It doesn't have to be long. It should be short, but it should be something that drives you. Why are you doing this? And something that you can hang in front of you that's going to motivate you. Your vision is what it looks like when you get there. Happy clients referring business. That might be your business, your vision. So you think about those things, and that is something that is ongoing. You revisit that every year, looking at your mission, looking at your vision. Are you still on track? Are you doing what your mission is? And are you getting to where you want to be? So this is something that's probably one of the hardest parts of business planning is mission and vision. So think about that. There really isn't a company out there that doesn't have a mission statement. So if you think about it, like, what's Nike? Just do it. Yeah. Amazon. I believe theirs is to provide the consumer the goods that they need in one place. And I think, that basically, I don't have it written in front of me, but they do, right? They have everything. I mean, there's really not much you can't get on Amazon these days. And so when you're noticing different businesses, you notice they all have a mission, and you own your own business now. And so to be a legitimate business, what's your mission? So that's homework for you. And then this video, I gave you the link for. We're not going to watch the video today, but it is Tony Robbins is a great trainer, and you're going to find there are so many people out there that you can get positive nuggets from. But this is a great little video that's very positive. And so that's something that you should do on your homework time. But this is real estate. But did you know you're in the lead generation business? Real estate's just your specialty. You're the same as a doctor or a lawyer or anyone that's out there trying to find their next clients. The thing is, we get paid like doctors and lawyers. So that's why I talk about being in the lead generation business at the same level, because you can earn as much money as you want in this business. Real estate, sales is the highest paying career. Real estate is the highest paying sales career. So you are in the highest paying sales career. And it's just up to you to figure out where it is you want to be on that scale and do the right things to get there. So not everybody wants to make $1 million a year. Not everybody wants to work as hard as that's going to take. Some people, and most people that I actually run into and coach, are right around the 100 to 200,000 range is where their goals are. And so that's something that we're going to work on today, is your specific goals. We have a whole formula that I'll put up so you guys can see it too. It's important to know, though, that you have joined a company with 800 other professionals, and you are as good as the people that surround you. So you're a professional. As long as you go and get a professional answer when you have questions, please don't feel uneasy about saying, let me find out for you. Because what happens if you give the wrong answer is you lose credibility. What happens when you go to your resources and you get the right answer and give people the information they need is they consider you a resource. And going forward, you want to be the resource for all things real estate for people, the market, for their needs, for information. And so you always want to make sure that you're getting accurate information and passing that on. So you are the professional and the pathway is to use your resources. Okay. So let's do this little exercise, the busy versus busyness, because this is something that is where a lot of new agents get stuck in busy work. And so let's talk about this for a minute. Is it business, which is going to bring money, or is it busy work, which is supportive? Okay. So we've got a $sign and an S in the different questions. So let's just go through these. Designing a website, what would you call that? Dollar productive or supportive? Definitely supportive. What about doing floor time or your opportunity time? Dollar productive or supportive? You would think so, but you know what? It's not. Yeah, no, that's a trick question because you're sitting there waiting for the phone to ring. And that is frustrating sometimes. I love floor time, but that is not a business plan. It's a bonus. Okay. What about showing property to a buyer? Definitely dollar productive. What about preparing a CMA?
Supportive.
It is. What about presenting it to the seller? Yes. So if you're catching it here, the dollar productive takes two people. It's almost everything that is dollar productive involves a client or a possible client. Updating your database. Supportive. Important, but supportive. What about inviting the neighbors to an open house? Going out in person and inviting them to an open house? Yeah, because you're face to face. Yes, dollar productive. About calling a friend to tell them about your new business? Dollar productive, absolutely. Creating pre-listing packages so you're ready to go on your next appointment? Supportive. Visiting a for sale by owner? Dollar productive. Good job. You guys did great. And that's something that is important. If you're finding that you're spending more of your time in dollar productive, then you're going to be making money. If you're spending more of your time in supportive activities, then you're not going to be making money. So that's the basic, and you'll meet agents a lot of times come into the business. They're like, well, I have to get my packages ready. I have to design my website. My cards aren't ready. I can't do an open house because their supportive isn't ready, but you don't need it. You can go out and meet somebody and you might even forget your business cards like most agents usually do. And it's all about your conversation. It's all about the relationship. And you're finding out what their needs are and you're building rapport, you're gaining trust, they're liking you and they're going to want to do business with you. And it doesn't matter at all what your package looked like. It's not about the package, but it is nice when you have something nice to leave them. So you want to do those things, but it's not important. It's not the most important. Don't let that hold you back. A professional. So let's just go through the qualities of a professional. And you do have the blanks filled in already. So that makes it easier. A professional thinks of real estate as a business with real responsibilities and hours. And what that means is that you're not sitting at home watching Oprah or CNBC or whatever it is that you're watching, your stock channel or whatever it is, instead of doing your business. And so you come up with a schedule that works for you. And you might be a morning person, you might be a night person, but you're going to figure out what your ideal day looks like. And you're going to make some adjustments for what the ideal day is for other people, because you definitely don't want to do prospecting calls at 10 o'clock at night if you're a night person. So you have to adjust. But there's real responsibilities and hours, and you've got to figure out how many hours you want to put in every day and what your daily activities will be like. And you might have a couple of days of the week where you do prospecting in the morning and a couple of days where you do it after 5 or whatever works for your people. But it is going to be real hours, and it's not doing laundry, staying at home, waiting for the phone to ring. That will not pay the bills. A professional has high self-confidence and high self-esteem. And this is important because the way that you get that high self-confidence and high self-esteem is by learning your dialogues and your scripts and learning the market, going out and previewing and feeling like you're not, flying by the seat of your pants all the time. Because it kind of feels like that when you're first in the business, you're flying by the seat of your pants. And we have this saying, fake it till you make it, but that's really kind of true. But as long as you're doing the right activities, it will fall into place for you. I promise. A professional is an excellent communicator and a master of listening. And it's especially difficult when you are a newer agent, when you're working with someone. And we don't show property that often in our cars anymore. We don't really have people that we drive around so much since COVID. It's really changed a lot of things. But if you find yourself talking more than you should be, that's common, especially when we're newer in the business, because we're nervous about what to say. So we might keep talking, but you have to ask questions. And you should only be talking 25% of the time. So if you're talking too much, ask another great question. And we're going to go, when we do buyers and sellers, we're going to go through all kinds of needs analysis questions that you can, use in your dialogues. And it will become second nature to you. Why are you moving? Have you been looking long? Well, tell me about the house you grew up in. What was great about it? And that's, things that you want to know, but then you get them talking. And when they're answering your questions and they're doing the talking, then they start to feel more comfortable with you. They start to feel trusting of you, and they start liking you, and then they're going to do business with you. So it's important that you're listening more than you're talking. And so if you find yourself talking too much, more than 25% of the time, just start asking some more good questions, and that'll get things going your way. A professional makes presentations, like your listing presentation and your buyer presentation, because you've got to educate your people. You can't just run out there and expect that they know, because they really don't. Most people don't even know that you don't get paid until closing. They just, you're a realtor, they don't understand our business. And so you've got to have a good presentation to set those expectations. You have to have good scripts so that you can, answer their objections and keep them, excited and in the game. And then you're helping people with important decisions. And I would say that this is probably one of the most important decisions anyone will make in their life. The home that they buy. It's extremely expensive, probably the most expensive purchase they'll make in their lives. And it just keeps getting higher. And so, it just amazes me, the prices these days. I started in real estate 35 years ago when you could buy a house for $35,000. You can't even get a doghouse for that anymore. Not in Colorado. But you're really important. And people can't do this without us and have the same positive experience. So you're important. And then lastly, never hesitates to ask a question. And we touched on that a little bit earlier. If you're curious about the answer, you don't know for sure, just find out for sure. You might say, well, this is what I think, but let me confirm. And that is the way to be professional. Give the right information. And this is not that hard of a job, really, you guys. It is a fun job. It is working with people. It's, what you're doing during your day when you're going out and prospecting, having coffee and lunch with people and having conversations and learning about them. It's a very fun job. When you get out to actually show property, which is my least I don't like to show property much, is driving. You have to spend 40 hours with a buyer, and I'm sure it's more now, because however many contracts you have to write to get one. 40 hours average for a buyer, 8 hours average for a seller. So in the time management category, you're going to want sellers, but you start out with buyers. 70% of a new agent's business is going to be buyers because they're easier to find. Sellers a lot of times come back to their previous agent. And so, and that's what we want, right? We want them to come back to us. But that's just why you work with more buyers than you do sellers up front. So a day in the life of an agent, what does it really look like? There are 4 things that are most important. 4 activities. Number 1, building and maintaining your database. That is the foundation of your business. And eventually you're going to be established and you're going to get about 80% of your business from that database. You're not going to have to pound the pavement forever. You're going to get referrals and you're going to have business coming to you instead of you always trying to go out and find it. It really will change. So you can't do that without building that foundation though. So, and you lose about 10% per year. Just as a general rule, people, they marry realtors, they move away, things happen. But about 10% of your database you'll have to replace every year. So if your goal is 200, then you know that you have about 20 that you're going to lose and have to replace every year. Prospecting. And when we did our dollar productive and our supportive activity, one of the things that we notice is that prospecting is a 2-person activity. It is supportive to do a marketing message. It is dollar productive to prospect. And that is you're calling people. You might be texting people and getting an answer. It's only a marketing message if you're texting one way, though. You have to have a conversation. And there are people that don't want you to call them, and you'll know who they are. And then there are people that only want you to call them, and you'll know who they are. But that's kind of an expectation that you're going to want to set up front when you meet a new client. How do you best communicate? And we'll talk about that later. But I've had buyers before that said, would you please not call me? Would you just text me the information? It's much easier for me that way. No problem. And then I have other people that are like, oh, I never read my texts. I need you to call. So you have to set that expectation, and don't think it is based on their age. Because I've had some of the youngest people tell me they want a phone call versus a text. And I've had some pretty old people tell me they want text. So they can't judge that at all. The third thing is following up with your current clients and your leads. And your follow-up takes your time. It's part of your day. Everything that you're doing, whether it's an under contract or it's a possible client, and you're just following up on a call that you had before, it doesn't count as a new call that next day. And then knowing your local real estate market, and it's changing every day. Like it might be this weekend was a little slow and we were able to get this house for list price. Next weekend, it's really super busy. They had to pay 10,000 more. It really changes like that. So crazy. So I have seen the market change in just a matter of hours. Big events can change things immediately, like 9/11. The market tanked for a while during 9/11. But it is constantly changing. So it's really important that you're keeping up on what's going on. You're listening to the stories in the office, how long things were on the market, looking at your statistics. And you guys probably use Iris, but you look at those statistics and see what, days on market is really important, and list price to sales price, really important. But if people are going to call you because they think you're of you as the market expert, which is what you want, then you've got to have the right information. So it's important to keep up on the market. And that is the 4th most important thing that you're doing every single day of work. Now, that doesn't mean 7 days a week. We don't work 7 days a week either. You will burn out. You have got to schedule time off. You have to have days that you take for yourself that are actual days off. And like, well, I'm off today, but I'm on this appointment. That does not count. Okay. Like really brain refresh. Yes.
Suggestions what a good day off in real estate would be?
I do. So usually it's not Saturday. A lot of people do take Sundays off unless they are busy over the weekend. And Monday is usually a really busy day for like weekend catch up. So Fridays tends to be the best day. Friday, unless you're showing property over the weekend, Friday is a great day to take off. Yeah. Is somebody asking a question?
No, they're not muted.
Oh. I do have 2 in the chat though. Let's see what this might be. Let's see here.
I don't know if it allows me to print it.
Okay, that was about the workbook.
You can go to participants and click on iPhone and view chat. Like the top second one. Oh, there you go.
Okay. All right. So in order to keep up on these 4 things, these are the activities kind of that you have to do every single day. 5 two-way contacts every day. Well, 5 days a week. Okay. 5 two-way contacts. Now, if you do that, that is 25 calls a week, right? That's not too hard. And it says two-way contacts because a two-way text or a two-way email can count if you're saying the right things. You've got to be able to ask for the referral, and that is hard to do on a text. So that's really better done on a conversation. But you're going to add those 2 new conversations to your CRM, and this is the hardest one. 2 new conversations a week. Your contact relationship manager. That might be Bouge. It might be the Vault. I use Buffini Referral Maker. It just depends on which one you want to use. CRM, Contact Relationship Manager. Yeah, which is better. It's important to note the difference. A database you can put on an Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't manage your clients. A contact relationship manager, you have notes, you have information about them. You've got, you might have birthdays, anniversary dates. It gives you something to manage, because that is the best thing you can do. Your foundation, your database or your management system is also how you will build the value of your business if you decide to retire and sell it later. Got to have a really good foundation for that. So you've got, say you did your 5 calls, you met 2 people to put in your CRM, which is really hard. I would challenge you to do that. I did know a lady that she would meet people in the line at Taco Bell. It didn't matter where she was. She could always talk to people, and do wear your stuff, your pins and stuff and your name tags. And I see lots of you have them on, because they will start conversations for you. Jeopardy didn't say the company with a balloon because nobody knows. Everybody knows you have a balloon on. I know you're a realtor, and they'll say, hey, how's the market? Or they'll start bringing up, and it's a really, really helpful prospecting tool. But so meeting those new people, and by the way, that same lady, she would take her business cards in a baggie in the sauna and in the whirlpool of the gym. So that as she was there, she actually had her cards in a baggie. She was quite a lead generator, though. She's not with us anymore, but boy, she made a huge amount of business with her lead generation activities. But that's the thing, is that you've got to make sure that you're meeting those new people. It's hard to have those new conversations. But so you've had 5 conversations, maybe you had 2 new ones. That's 7 thank you notes. And this is so important. That handwritten thank you note is extremely important in your business. And you think about, oh, I'll just send them a text. No. How many times do you get a handwritten thank you note in the mail and you keep it, right? So does anybody buy things from Oriental Trading? Like, they're kind of a huge company, right? Right? This is a thank you note from Oriental Trading, from an order. It's handwritten. And so it matters when you have these conversations and you're meeting new people, you send that, and it just helps to solidify your relationship. It's very important. When I was working with the young professionals group, and we were doing an event, they did not want to email or text their invitation. They wanted handwritten, sent out invitations. And those are the young, yeah, right?
For my daughter, I'm like, I'm not doing e-bites.
Well, but it's amazing how much more traction. I mean, anybody can go and get an e-card, but when you get a birthday card that's actually handwritten and mailed with a real stamp, somebody went to the effort to do that for you. So, and so do your clients. So, and then you update your CRM with all your notes. So those are your daily activities. And you want to know, like, well, this person, you find out a birthday, or maybe, you find out their special hobbies, their dreams. Ford system is always really good, talking about family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. the Ford system, and make notes of that, because if you know somebody's dream is to go to Tuscany, Italy, and you're able to remember those things and bring them up, or even send them a little, clipping out of a travel magazine or something that's personal to them, that builds the relationship. And the deeper your relationship goes, the more business you're going to have. You want roots that go deep. You don't want all these shallow roots, because they never really will amount to anything. You want those deep, deep roots, so that you get more than just a referral. You get a lifetime of referrals. Yeah, that's the way you want it to work. Like gold and like silver, you find a line of it and you stick with it. So I can think of several different families. One family I've done more than, well, I think we're on number 17 now, transactions. And I was there for the baby shower of the gal that just graduated college at 24. So, I mean, it's all these years. And so you're going to build those relationships where you're the realtor for life. And that's what you want. People that always think of you, that's my realtor. Let's give her a call, give him a call. They're the ones. That's what you want. But it takes a while to build that. So these are things that you can do to help build your knowledge. Previewing 10 homes. And that's hard to do right now with COVID and restrictions. People don't like people in their homes that much, but you can do it online. You can go online. You can look at the pictures. You can look at what things sold for. You can do that for a whole neighborhood. You can also go to some of the new home areas and really learn their inventory. That's something that is changing daily. Like there is any inventory. There's not. In fact, have you noticed that the new home builders are not even selling their new home product until they're about, 6 months in, because they want to get that increase instead of the buyer buying it dirt, stick built. So they're starting them and selling them later. Interesting. Had a buyer, just a real short story here. I was watching business for a gal that was on vacation, and she had a buyer that was very, very skittish, very nervous buyer. And she was supposed to close on a new build that she had put under contract in February of this year. And that new build had gone up by $75,000. And it was a DR Horton home, and she found every reason not to be happy. She walked away from $75,000. I'm like, really? I couldn't believe it. It's like, why don't you just close and sell it? Let's look at the docs and see if there's any neighborhood restrictions that would keep you from being able to sell for the first 6 months. Because sometimes you find that in new home subdivisions where they don't want that, you can't sell it for so long. So investors don't go in there and pick them up. But she didn't. So anyway, that was just a story. I was like, whoa, she walked away from that much money. So you never know about people. Sometimes their fears are more motivating than money or anything else that is going to make a difference. But previewing those homes and knowing where the prices are is a great thing to do. You find out when you have a buyer and you maybe haven't been in that area very long, and you start looking in that area with that buyer and you start really getting to know it, and pretty soon you're picking up other buyers for that area. It's something that just happens. It sets in. So the more you know about the market, the more you're going to be able to pick up buyers for that market. So don't study areas that you don't want to really work. Study the areas where you want to work and where you want to be. And that goes with open houses too. Don't do an open house where you don't want to work, because you'll get buyers in that area where you don't want to work. And I say this from experience because I live in Westminster, and that is northern part of the Denver area. And I was doing open houses down in Littleton and in Parker for a couple of different agents. And I had a huge clientele down in Littleton and Parker. And I'm like, man, I did this wrong. Because I was like, and that was ages ago, and the drive time was still a lot. So anyway, I don't recommend that you do that. But I do recommend that you visit open houses anytime you have an opportunity, and take note of their techniques. Take your badge off. And don't lie. Don't, tell them that you're not a realtor if they ask, but you don't want to advertise that you are, or you're not going to get their secrets. And so what you're going to find out is most people that are doing open houses are sitting in the corner and say, let me know if you need anything. And let me tell you, that is not going to pick up somebody. You at an open house, people generally go to an open house so they can meet agents. And that means you need to build rapport. You need to build the relationship, build some reason that they feel that they know you, like you, or trust you. And that's another reason to use video, by the way. If you have, and you can use your phone video. You don't have to go out and buy a service. You just say, hey, it was really great to meet you at the open house today. And and I'll be sending you those comps for the area, and I hope they'll get to see you next week, or whatever it is that you're going to say. And you send that video, and the more that you do that, the more they build trust and build the relationship. So that's another reason video is really important. Don't worry about what you look like on video, because you look like that anyway. So it's just watching yourself is the hard part. Okay, so visiting open houses is super important. And then in my RU, the resources you have from Remax University, there are so many videos and things, and you can see how long the time commitment is. And most of them are only a few minutes, and you can go in there and you can learn dialogues. You can watch somebody's, talking with a client, overcoming objections, all types of social media ideas, and just a plethora of information available on my RU. And one of the nice things about Remax is that you can actually do CE credit through my RU, which is different than most other companies. When I was with Keller Williams, I used to be an owner with Keller Williams. I owned a Keller Williams office before I sold it and moved to Remax. But they didn't do CE credit online because it's different in every single state. So it takes a lot of thought and planning to put CE credit online as a big company, but you can go in to my RU and get CE credit, which is great. And then attending classes and seeking knowledge in your areas of interest. And so you guys are part of which board up here? Fort Collins. Great. I know you've had even some leadership in the board. Some of your people have been.
David, top left, just got nominated to one of the directors.
David Brown.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Congrats, David. I will say this. So I was also one of those people that did a lot of board work. So I was a board president. I was a district, Metro District VP. I was the government affairs VP for the state of Colorado. 2007 and 8, which was before everything got really crazy. So that was good. But it really helps me now. I get about 30% of my business from other agents that I've done business with in the past. Like we were in leadership together. I get referrals. I have an agent out of Craig, Colorado. I get a ton of business from her. I've got one in Steamboat that I get a ton of business from in Grand Lake. I also have another one down in Aurora, and a couple of retired agents that were my really good friends, and I'm doing their business. They're not charging referral fees because they didn't keep their active license, and so I give them nice gifts for the opportunity to be that referral resource. But agents can be a great resource, and when you go into a leadership role, you meet agents all over the state. Is anybody going to the Colorado conference in the Springs in October? I highly recommend it. Oh, yay, David, I'll see you there. It's the 100th anniversary. We don't get to go to the Broadmoor very much anymore. Like it's been forever, but it is beautiful. It's sold out. You have to stay somewhere else. Me too, but the meetings are there. But there's so much information that you get, and you meet agents from all over the state, and then it gives you the opportunity to network and to trade information, because they're a great resource for business. And if they know they have a good agent on the other end, they're going to refer you because they want that 25%. They want that money. And anytime you go out of town, anytime, if you have the opportunity to stop in a real estate office, hopefully Remax, but if not, go into another real estate office, introduce yourself and meet somebody, put them in your database. It's the same thing as meeting a new client if you become their resource. So we are in a destination location here. We get a lot of referrals for Colorado. So just a little tip there. I get about 30% of my business from my board work, which at the time everybody thought I was crazy. I'm like, oh, it'll pay off. It does. So we've talked a lot about your sphere of influence and why it's so important. It really is your foundation, and you can't build a house without a foundation. You can't build this career without one either. So your database, if you don't build one, you're going to be hunting forever. And farming is so much easier because you water the plants and they grow and then you reap the harvest. If you're hunting, you're just constantly looking for new business. I have met people that just want new business. They don't want to follow up with their people. They just want to keep on hunting. There are those people out there, but it's really a lot harder. And it's so much easier of a business when you're getting 80% of your business coming to you. So I highly recommend you put these systems in place to develop that in the next couple of years. It does take a couple of years. But having people come to you is so much better than having to hunt all the time. And so let's go over some NAR statistics. This is from the 2020 profile of buyers and sellers. And you can go to realtor.org and you can go to the research tab and you can sign up for the updates from them. And they will send you when they get new studies and things done. It's really, really good information. I've just got a little snippet in here, but you get information on where people are moving from, helps you to know where you should put your Google ads, and you get information on what are the most popular things that they're looking for in a house. For a while, it was granite countertops. For a while in Colorado, it was air conditioning. It's like, why is there no air conditioning? It's hot here, right? So, but these studies are good and they're free. You can get the snippet version for free. You can get the full book for only $20. You can download the full entire book, which if you're not a realtor, it costs over $300 for the study that's done. And you've probably seen, Yoon, he's a good friend of mine, Lawrence Yoon, who is the economist for NAR. And so he used to be the assistant to David Luray before 2005, when everything went to heck in a handbasket. And then Lawrence Yoon took over. He didn't used to be able to speak, but he's a really good speaker now. He was so shy, but he's a great resource. And so these studies, I served on this research committee, and these studies are out there. They ask realtors all over the country. They ask clients all over the country. And so it's good information. There's a report called the cost versus value report. And if you go on Google and you put in cost versus value.com, it'll bring up that report. And it's a great thing to give to people, especially like if you're doing some neighborhood prospecting and things. That report, it shows like if they're going to do an improvement in their house from kitchens, baths, decks, that kind of thing, from low cost to high cost, what they can expect to recover from that, which is really important if you're talking to a seller and they think they need to remodel their house before they can sell. You can show them the report, which shows them that they're probably only going to get about 75 to 80% of what they put in it. So then they're much more willing to sell without doing all the work. And the report has a lot of good information. It's a good resource to hand out to people, and you can print it out and do it for free. But they do that. They update it every year through NAR. But let's look at these. So 77% of all sellers contacted only one agent, and 67 used a referral or an agent they've used in the past. What does that tell you? That you want to be, number one, you want to be the one agent, right? And that really there's only about a 33% chance that you're going to find new business from somebody, because 67% of sellers used an agent or a referral. So you want to be that referral, or you're going to be an agent they used in the past if you were their buyer agent. 89% of home sellers reported they would use their agent again or recommend them to others, and only 25% did. Do you know why?
Stay in front of them.
Exactly. They didn't stay in touch. Do you know they forget us every 16 days? Yeah. Isn't that horrible? That's the amount of mind share we have, 16 days. So that's why it's so important that they get something in their mail, something in their email, something on the phone, something in the text, because we have to constantly keep front of mind. And that's up to us, not them. So, when your family sells and they're like, oh, I forgot you were an agent. Then you really know. It'll happen. I tell you, it's terrible. But here's a really good one. The typical seller has recommended their agent once since selling, and 27% have recommended their agent 4 or more times since selling their home. That's awesome. You want to make sure people know that you want their referrals. and that you're not too busy for their referrals. This is another one of those not keeping in touch. 91% of buyers said they would use their agent again and recommend them to others, and only 12% did. That's horrible. So people aren't keeping in touch. So you can beat. This is new stuff. This is 2020. So you can do much better. You can do much better. 63% of buyers were satisfied with their recent home buying process, up from 59% 4 years ago. So they're getting happier with us. You would never know that, and you listen to some of the news, but it's true. And then 88% of home buyers purchased their home through a real estate broker. 40% used a referral. That means only 60% of buyers were found by an agent on their own, because the 40% were referred. 73% only interviewed one agent. So that tells you, you want to be the agent they refer. So you have to keep in touch with your people and ask for referrals. And you want to be the only one. And it's not that hard. So you just have to be sure to keep top of mind. So that is why your database is so important, because that is how you keep top of mind. And you can see these numbers, the statistics. You want to be, your business is going to go so much better, and you'll have so much more success if you stay on top of your relationships. It's all about the relationships. So the 3 phases of a database lifespan, and where you are right now is building it. You are building and growing it. Prospecting is really important. You can grow your database. Maybe there are certain demographics you're interested in. Maybe there are, certain areas geographical that you're interested in. But think about this, because you should have at least one outside activity, a extracurricular club, or something that you're involved with that is not real estate, so that you can get those referrals. My husband, he does stock club, and he also does, he does poker, but he does get business, stock club and poker club. I'm in the card ministry at my church, and I'm also part of the Mothers of Preschoolers MOPS program. I'm a mentor mom. I have a grandson. And so I didn't, though, when I started. So that's one of the best things ever. A little grandbaby. But that is a great place to meet people. So what do? There's book clubs, there's stamp clubs, there's horses. What are you interested in? You want to be part of something that interests you, because otherwise you'll just feel like a third wheel. Another really good one is Toastmasters. I was very involved in Toastmasters early on. It's a speaking club. And you go and you do impromptu speaking, you do debating, you do speeches, but you meet people from all different industries and mostly very professional levels. And it is one of the top places for realtors to prospect. And yeah, you can go to the commerce, to the Chamber of Commerce and join some of those leads groups and things like that. That costs money. I've had success with that. It takes time. You can start your own leads groups. That tends to be something that's a little more fast track when you start your own leads group with your own business owners. But you find something that you're interested in, and you should have at least one thing that you're doing on a regular basis. And that will help you build your business and grow your database. And then you have to manage it. Like we were saying, you lose about 10% per year. So you've got to continue to build that. And then it's not important now, but later down the road, when you want to retire and you don't just want to walk away from your business, you can earn money and a significant amount of money by selling your business. Steve Murray, he's Real Trends. Steve Murray, he owns Real Trends. His formula is that your business is worth 4 times your trailing 12-month profit. So if you had a profit of $50,000 last year, let's say, your business is worth $200,000 to sell it. And how you would do that would be, it's a whole nother class, but there are several ways that you can put a structure in place so that you don't have to remain active and you can sell your business and get money back. So that is the third and final phase of a database that most people skip. Most realtors, they walk away and they leave the money on the table. They do. And I know because I get referrals from them, and they can't get referral fees because they didn't stay active and they didn't sell their business. So they get gift cards. So, but if you want more than restaurant gift cards, build a good database. Okay, now for the numbers part. This is the part that everybody kind of has more of a struggle with. So I'm going to share screen and we're going to go through some numbers. And this is the one I want. There. Okay, so I think everybody can see the whole page now.
I can't read them, but I can.
Okay, but we're gonna go through it. Yeah, with the workbook. This is really, when I was doing it on Zoom, it was really impossible to do without a visual, because these numbers, they get complicated. So you're going to track your own numbers. And so not yet, because you haven't been in the business long enough. Will you have an average sales price, or your average listing commission, or buy side commission, or your average days on market? The best way to do this, though, is using your own numbers, but you can use the office numbers and they're very, very, relevant. So you use your office numbers until you have your own. So what is your average sales price here? Do you know what it is? I know in Denver, it's gone up to like 600. It's crazy. I bet you're higher. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, Boulder's like 1.3 million or something. Yeah. Well, so whatever your average price is, I used for this 450 because I think 450 is a pretty good number, and I'd rather be conservative than being too optimistic. The average commission rate, and the average listing commission rate, if then we're all in the same company here. So if we take a 6% listing, and you typically pay out 3% and you're earning 3%. In the Denver area, we pay out 2.8 typically, although we're seeing 2.5 a lot. And then on a 6% listing, you would keep 3.2. So I use 3% for listing. That's a pretty good median. I think we have so much pressure on that, though. You really have to look and see what the average is. If you're doing a lot of incentives and things like that, you might be closer to 2.5. But for this, we use 3. Average buy side commission, we use 2.8. We don't see a lot of people having to give to buyers right now, but it does happen. And average days on the market when I did this was 24. And I don't think it's changed a lot since then. So that's just 3 weeks. Now, if it's on the market 3 weeks, something's wrong, right? It won't always be like that. Do you know that we have to get to 4 months worth of inventory? Like it's on the market for 4 months until it becomes a buyer's market instead of a seller's market. So we are so far from a buyer's market. It's not even funny. Okay, so those are the numbers we use for this particular example. But I do want you to be able to do this on your own using your own numbers. So like if you were a luxury specialist, 450 would be too low for you. But let's look at the calculation to figure out what it is that you're going to need to have. And we'll get to how many transactions you need and how many people in your database with these next 2 pages. So on this top line, put in your gross income goal. And I used 100,000 as the example. And remember that your expenses run about 40%. So this 100,000 goal is only going to net out about 60. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And for this example, I did 50-50. You can see 50% seller, 50% buyer. But I can tell you that when you're newer in the business, it's going to be more like 30% sellers and 70% buyers. That's typical. You want to get to 50-50 eventually, because for every listing you have, you should close a buyer. With your marketing, you get a buyer, listing and a buyer, listing and a buyer off of the listing. So if you're leveraging it well. So 50% times the gross commission goal. That's the first calculation. It's pretty easy. It's 50,000 for sellers, 50,000 for buyers. If you were doing 70-30, it would be 30,000 for sellers and 70,000 for buyers. So you've got to just be able to do this the way that it's going to work for you. I use the average commission rate. So let's go through the seller side. Average commission 3%. So we take 50,000 divided by 3%. And we don't forget the percentage sign because we won't get the right volume. That's 1.7 million. And then dividing that by the 450 that we use for an average price, it shows us we need to close 5 listings in order to make 50,000, which is kind of typical because we know it's about 10,000 for a commission right now. So that's just an easy way of averaging it, but you're always going to round up because you can't have a partial closing. And then we're also going to add to it. So let's say you have a 90% success rate, because in this market, you probably will have a 90% success rate closing those listings. But when we have a more difficult market, you might have a 30% fall off rate. So you're going to have a 70% close ratio. Like when we did short sales and foreclosures, we lost a lot more because it was contingent on that third party. So does that make sense? So we want to earn 50% of our business is coming from seller closings. We want to earn 100,000. So that's 50,000. 50,000 divided by the average commission rate of 3% gives us our volume, 1.7 million. Then divided by the average sales price tells us how many closings we need. Then we up it, say we're going to maybe close, because you will lose some, 90%. We can't have a portion, so 5. You need 5 listings. That means if you go on, if you get 50% of the listing appointments you go on, and that depends on how well you qualify them too. Because when you're newer, you might not want to make sure they're fully qualified before you go on the appointment, because you might want to add them to your database and build that relationship, maybe later too. But it depends on how well you are at qualifying them. But 50% is a pretty good rate. And so if you go on a listing appointment and you get it 50% of the time, you're doing good. Okay. Don't feel the failure of the other 50%, because it takes even the very best, most experienced agents in the business don't go above 70. So it is just the way that it is. People use us for information, and sometimes they don't know if they want to sell. Sometimes we tell them they shouldn't. So if you say you have about a 50% success rate and you need 5 listings, then that means you need 10 listing appointments. Divide that by 12. That's 1 every month. It is so much easier to say, I need to make this 1 listing appointment every month, a good one. Then I need to earn $100,000, right? You can focus on getting that listing appointment, right? That's so much easier than focusing on the money.
What's the percentage of successful closing rate?
I have 50 on that. Yep. Oh, well, the successful closing rate for listings I have at 90.
Okay, that's
Yeah. Yeah, we don't, right now we don't lose a lot of listings. They usually close. But every now and then stuff happens. Like I've had sellers pass away before. I've had, you just depend. Or you might have some crazy buyer that walks away from $75,000. Just never know. So.
And then I'm sorry, I just can't.
No, that's okay.
I want this as an example. And then that is 10%?
This is 50%.
That's where the 50.
So this is when you go on the listing appointment, you have 50%. So 50% of them you're going to take. No, that's right. This is the hard part. And then we just do the same thing for the buyer side. So.
Oh, I'm missing a line. That's where.
Yeah, you don't want to miss a line.
So
But-
seller listing appointments is 1.
Well, and so listing appointments per month is 1.
Oh, and the other is.
Yeah, this is total appointments is 10, but you can't divide, I mean, you can't have a partial. So, but let's go through the buy side because that will help. Buyer closing. So we're doing this 50-50 in our example. It might be 70 in yours, but so 50% of the 100,000 goal is 50,000. And you probably want to use a 3%, but in our example, it's 2.8. So 50,000 divided by 2.8% gives us 1.8 million in volume. Then dividing that by the average sales price, again, it's 4 closings, we'll round it up. We have about a success rate the same with buyers right now. About 90% of them close that are under contract. pre-approved and ready to go. But then you have those, like the one that walked away from the new build. You do have people that don't close for whatever reason. So you can never really use 100%, 90%. So in this example, 4 divided by 90%, it's going to be a portion. So you need 5. You need 5 buyer agencies in order to close 4 buyers. I used a 50% conversion rate there too. So whenever you meet with a buyer, there's a 50% chance that they will go forward or they will qualify. And that's why I have them talk to a lender before I get face-to-face. Typically, I'll have them talk to a lender to get pre-qualified before I go on that appointment. But you might not want to do that. If you're building your database, you might want to go ahead and go on the appointment and then have the lender qualify them. So this can change depending on your practices, but this is pretty conservative. So if you go, you meet with a buyer, they're excited, you do a good job, you sell yourself, you have a 50% chance of getting that buyer and then having them under a buyer agency so that you can convert them and get them under contract. So again, 10 you would need in order to do 5, and you can't do more than, you can't do a partial appointment. So we just say 1. So in this example, and this is real, you guys, this isn't airy fairy. If you want to succeed and you focus on 1 listing appointment per month and 1 buyer appointment per month, these numbers are going to work. I've seen it year after year after year. It works, but you have to focus on getting these appointments. That's where the focus is, not on the money. Okay. And what you get with volume on this is just adding it up. It ended up 3.5 million in volume and a total of 10 closings, 10 sites. And that's important for the next page. Let's see here. Let me just move this up for the next page. Okay. This is the call. This is where they come from. So you want most of your business to come from your database, right? 80%. So we put in the number of transactions we needed at the top here. We need 10 closings. So 80% of that would be 8 of them coming from the database and 2 of them coming from other sources. And so 8 of them coming from the database tells you, well, how many people do I need in my database? You're going to get an average of 1 closing for every 12 people. Tom Ferry will say it's every 10. Gary Keller will say it's 2 for every 12, but it really is about 1 for every 12 in our market. So you take the number of transactions you want from your database times 12. This example, we need 96 people in our database. So we know how many people we need to market to. And let's say we currently have 75, as in this example. So we know we need to add 21 people. And we have to go find them. So your database really is where you're going to get most of your business. Most of it comes by referral. And so then we're going to say, okay, well, what happens that we have to make up too? Because in our example, we only had enough for, 4. So we're going to have to get 4 transactions from other resources. And that's when we look at these other pillars, because you've got to have several activities. We usually say it's usually your database plus about 3. And you want to give any one of these things a good 6 months before you give up on it. So let's talk about some of these statistics. Online, if you pay Zillow or one of those places for leads, well, first of all, you'll go broke because it's really expensive. And you really want to have money coming in before, if you even ever considered that. We don't do any of that. But I do know people that pay, and you got to pay like $4,000 a month to get a good amount from Zillow. So no, right? But the conversion rate is 3 out of 100. So for every 100 leads you get from them, you'll convert 3. Like, wow. Okay. So I would rather talk to people, but realtor.com is 5 actually. So they have a 5% conversion rate for some reason, but those are things you might want to look at later. If you find that, you're growing a team or you want extra resources for getting those leads, that's the only time I would recommend something like that. It's just expensive. So open houses, promotional events, and sign calls. Those are great places to get leads. So 7-level open houses, which is doing an open house and really doing it well, inviting the neighbors, having the snacks. We can't do snacks right now because of COVID, but having the resources there for people, really doing a great open house. You can convert people like one client for every 4 open houses you do. So it's much better. We're going to talk about that in our lead generation module. We're going to go through the whole open house, doing them really good to make sure that you get the business. I built my business on open houses. I did them for other people because I wasn't a farmer. So I did a lot of open houses. And I built my business that way. And I really think they're a great way to build because, you know, people are going out to meet people. They're in the market. They're saying, hey, I'm a buyer. They are looking for agents when they're going to open houses, not just houses. They can look at houses online. They are actually looking to meet an agent and to get that professional. And that statistically has gone up over the past few years. So they're a great way to do it. A mega open house is just a way that you do a big party for the seller too. We're going to go through that entire scenario when we do the 4th module. So right now it's really hard to find good open houses because the properties are selling so fast that by the time you get the advertising done and you've got, you know, your neighbors invited and everything, it's under contract. So when we set up an open house, we still go ahead and do it if the seller will let us, because we've done so much marketing, because it's the marketing that gets you the buyer from every listing. So we want to go ahead and do that. And then we just say, well, this house is under contract, but we're taking backups. So it's a way to go ahead and do it anyway. Farming. And people say, oh, I'm not going to farm. Yes, you are. Everybody's going to farm. You're farming already. It's your sphere of influence. People think of farming just as geographical. It's not at all. So geographical is a number one way to farm. You can choose an area and you can develop a marketing message in that area, but it takes about 14 months to get business back on it. You're farming in the target groups that you join, if you're in book clubs, all of those are your farms. And so farming is important. And we'll go through some of the different ideas for target groups when we do that, the lead generation module as well. Apartments are another good one to farm. Going into apartments, not the places, but the actual people. That they'll get mad at you if you go put flyers on their door. They'll send you a bill for picking them up. But if you develop a relationship and do pop buys and things to the leasing agents, they'll let you know who's moving. You build a relationship with them and they will help you too. So that's just a little nugget, because they also accept your referrals when you have somebody that needs to rent. So you can have a reciprocal relationship there, but they get a lot of people that they know are wanting to move. So it's a good resource. This one, FSBO and expired. Personally, I never really loved them. Most people that are for sale by owner are getting a lot of calls, and expireds get a lot of calls. And you have to have fairly thick skin, because you get quite a few angry people because they get a lot of calls. But if you come from contribution, and we'll talk about that in the lead generation module too, we're going to talk about FSBOs and expireds. Coming from contribution and showing your value rather than just calling them and asking them for their business. If they can see that you can provide help for them, and there are some definite ways to do that, you can actually convert about 3 out of every 10 for sale by owners. And only 10% of for sale by owners actually end up selling without an agent. So they'll pay the buy side 90% of the time. And a lot of times they do list as well. So agent referrals, talked about that. Huge, huge opportunity for business. Target marketing. Target marketing is something that you want to do whenever you have a listing anyway. You want to do your just listed or just sold cards in the neighborhood. That helps you to get some response on that. Target marketing also works when you want to be buyer specific. And I've done that several times because there's just not inventory. So let's say you have a buyer, and you can't be fake about it because they can see right through it. But you have a buyer and they want to live in a certain neighborhood. Then you want to go ahead and prospect that neighborhood for that buyer and target market. CoreFact is a great way to do that. If you haven't already used CoreFact, you can pull up a geographical area and send something out. Let's see if I have an example of one here. Corfact. Corfact does postcards. They have a little map and it's that person's house. We have put on the front, we have a picture of the people. It's like, we're looking for a home for this client. And, your home might be the right one. Call us. And it just sort of makes it real so that they're not, because a lot of people will send out those notes fake. Yeah.
Okay, just a good example. So I sent out a letter to a condo unit on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
I got 3 responses.
Oh, that's great.
That's 88.
So it's for a
I sent
buyer?
letters, not postcards.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's like, I have a buyer that's interested in this area. Are you interested in selling? Very good. Good. So that's 3 people that might be interested.
Well,
Yeah.
one lady just called to say, "Oh, it was so nice to get your letter." Like, I just moved from Minnesota because that's where the buyers are coming.
Oh, okay.
Minnesota, so it was just like a hello greeting thing. It was
It's a
really
new contact though.
Did you use Corfax? I used Corfax to get the addresses.
Gotcha. Well, that's another contact too, then, that you can stay in touch with. And so it's a great way to build your business. Really, target marketing can really help. We've found, yeah,
I was just gonna say, another great thing about Corfax is that QR code.
yes.
I'm doing that right now, farming 2 neighborhoods, and so, they get a free estimate of home value. And the second that they scan that, they get their estimate of value, and you get an email with their contact info and that they've shown interest, and immediately there's a lead for you to follow up on.
It's excellent. They can sign up to get them monthly updates from Corfax, and also there's no contract required. So
How
you,
much is Corfax?
it's like 82 cents a piece
Yeah.
mailed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
and no contract.
Just
Yeah.
get on and learn. Is there someone in the office that trains you on it? Or you just self-
A lot of,
I went
Yeah.
through it, title rep.
Corfact.com. It's a great tool. And the title rep usually has a discount code that you can use for your first. Yeah, they're good stuff. I think these schedules might have been, we've done all kinds of stuff. I will do Corfact for client events too, is because you can change what it says instead of just listed. You can say, save the date and upload your picture instead of a picture of the house, your invitation and stuff. There's a lot that you can do with Corfact. Yeah, lots. And then floor time. You guys have floor time? Yeah, it can be pretty good if you have listings. That's the key. If all your listings are under contract, though, there's not much to call on. So, but Remax Alliance relocation, there hasn't been a lot of relocation lately, but the leads can be pretty good. And if you get on and make sure that you're all set up with your Bouge accounts and all the lead tools that we have, you will definitely close 1 to 2 deals a year if you're active on there. But you want to go in there and change. You got to change your zip codes and be active in there, because whatever they call the spiders and bots that are in the internet, they know if you've been active or if it's old. And every so often you want to go and refresh it every couple of weeks to keep it new. The same thing you'll notice that on Lead Street, or when you go in, you first set up your Remax accounts and your zip codes and everything, you'll get some leads right away, but then it'll kind of cool off, and it's because you haven't been in there. So you have to go in there and just make sure it's fresh all the time. Maybe change a zip code or 2 here and there, and then it knows you've been in there. So I've seen time and time again where the newer people that have just done their setup are getting the leads. So if you stay active in there, you'll be able to do it. And then I say other, I think social media, Instagram, Facebook, and all of those things, they can be great ways to prospect. But they can't be the only way. So really you look at these things and you're like, okay, so I'm going to get the remainder of my business. In my example, I said, okay, we're going to get one person from open houses, and here's my plan. And then you want to make a plan. I'm going to do 2 open houses every month, let's say. And I'm going to convert 1 for every 4. So that means I'm going to have 6 conversions. I'll maybe get 6, but you want to plan for those. Farming, like I'm going to farm. I'm going to do a demographical farm of all the ladies in the MOPS group. That's mine, but yours might be different. And here we did 1 for agent referrals. Definitely, it's a great opportunity. And I say, make as many agent contacts as you can. Remax does some really great networking events, and I hope they start up again soon. I've had a lot of success when they do the little cocktail parties around town and Remax agents get together and exchange information. That's a great way of getting business. And then social media, everybody likes social media. So definitely you've got to be on there. You've got to be posting things. And with social media, they want 10% of your business. So not more than 10% of your posts should be direct. Here's my new listing. 30% eye candy. And you can go to the Remax Facebook page and share their stuff. They have tons of stuff, like the 5 most important things to make your house sell this fall. And you can share those things. It's ready, it's easy. They have videos, they look good. So that's your eye candy. And then the other 60% is personal. They want your personal stuff. That's why you have to use your personal page as well as a business page, but most of it's your personal page. You can't like somebody from your business page. You've got to like from your personal page. And when you like somebody's post, because mostly it's about getting out and looking at other people's stuff. When you like somebody's post, that's like giving them a hug. If you comment on somebody's post, that's like giving them a kiss. That's how they the analogy for that. It's a personal thing. And so it's people sometimes will read your post, but it's much more important that you're spending 30 minutes a day looking at the posts for the people that are in your database. So you can comment on those and build those relationships. And it also gives you a great reason to send a personal note to somebody. Like you'll see online if their dog passed away, sympathy card. You see online their new grandbaby, wedding. You get material from social media. That's what it's best for. Like if you have to write, 20 cards a month, 20 personal notes a month to your database, what are you going to say? So there's really good information in there. So, and then people know you're paying attention to. So that's kind of, I think, one of the best things you can do in your business. Pop buys and personal notes are awesome. So does this all make sense? It's like, good. So your database is number one. Build your database and then decide what other 3 pillars you're going to use to fill it in and make a plan for those. That's the main thing here. And then on page 10 and 11 is the sphere of influence marketing plan. So remember when I said they forget you every 16 days? They really do. So you want to make sure that you're reminding them every 15 days that you're the realtor, but you don't want to be a pest. So here's how you do that. You have an email or a Facebook or social media or text, 1 to 2 a month. That's all you need to send out. You can send to your whole database or you can do them individually if you want to. But that's your virtual or your online version. Then you've got to have a snail mail. I know people think, oh, I've got to mail something. You're right. All of the trainers will tell you you've got to mail something. So you need snail mail, you need stamps. I wouldn't use, you can use the bulk mail permits, but it takes a little bit of personalness out of it. And then you don't get your return mail either. So I never use bulk mail. I always buy stamps. But you don't need a ton of people. I mean, we already figured out that this 100,000 person only needed 96 people in their database. So it's not like you need thousands of people. You need the right amount of good people in your database. So you're going to build relationships. So you're going to be watching what they're doing. But the email's good. And there's some great stuff in the vault for email. There's some great marketing things. If you set somebody up, for example, on a market update, the marketing videos in the vault, and you set them up once, they get it every month. And so you only have to think of it once. You can do that for areas of town. They have like, Denver, they have Northern Colorado, and different places that you can actually set them up. So those are great tools as well. With Buffini, which I'm a Buffini person, with Buffini, we get the item of value that we snail mail out and the email every month. And in the CRM, it's just like automatic and it's done. But you've got to do what feels good for you. Title companies have some great stuff. I know several of the title companies, First American and Land, both offer a monthly. Land Title has a monthly mail out, and they'll do it for you if you give them your database. And they've got a right brain and a left brain. And some people do both, but some really good stuff. in there. And it's not, the content isn't as important as them seeing you and being reminded your face and that you're the realtor, because we have to remind them. That's all. We're reminding them every couple of weeks. So you got to have your email, your virtual stuff. You got to have your snail mail, whether you go Corfact or one of those others, title companies. They've got some great stuff. There's some really cool stuff. You can customize stuff, but people do save stuff. And you want them like to have your information handy. That's why people still do calendars that stick up on the fridge in the fall, because a lot of times they'll keep them. Because people still will keep a paper calendar and you want them to have your information, but it can't be the only thing. I can't tell you how many times I've gone in a house and somebody else's calendar's on the fridge. So you just want them to get yours first. So I always do mine at Thanksgiving instead of Christmas or New Year's for the calendar, because the first one up, I figure, is the first one up. Oh, and then most important though, and this is the one that most people have the problem with, it's the hardest. You've heard the, eat that frog, is phone call. And there's never a time in my 35 years when it's time to make my phone calls. I still get butterflies. I still review my scripts. I still look in the mirror and smile to make sure that I'm smiling instead of looking petrified. But there's, nobody likes calls. Nobody does. I don't know if they tell you, oh, I love making my prospecting calls. Say, you liar. It's like, you don't. But it's the double-edged sword, because it's the hardest to get started, but yet it's the most rewarding. And you feel the best about it when you're done. And you'll have conversations. You're making notes about the conversations. Somebody just had a new grandbaby. Then you have a congratulations note you can send them, making notes in your CRM. There are so many opportunities you have through those phone calls. So you just have to do it, and it's eat the frog. If you did none of this other stuff and you only did the phone calls, you'd have much more success than if you never did the phone calls and did all of the other stuff. So phone calls are most important. And then lumpy mail. We call it that because it is lumpy. So different stuff, like I'll give you examples. Notepads are a great lumpy mail. People keep them. So here's a couple examples of notepads. And Captain Notepad is a great place to get these. You can basically design your own notepad with Captain Notepad. And it's color and they're inexpensive. So notepads are great. I like them in the first of the year. So January, I usually do notepads. Second quarter is usually a rocky schedule or something like that. It can also be a great time to do farmers markets. As you're getting, closer to summer at the end of the second quarter. Quarter three, I'd like to do Broncos. It's also a great time to do like fall colors and things like that go out. And then quarter four, I do Christmas cards, but I also do my calendars at Thanksgiving, just calendars. I like Magnets USA. They are good quality calendars. Get a good price on those. So you can go with the big one. I like the little ones. It's pretty much what we do all the time. The little ones. You can do Christmas, Thanksgiving. This is just home is where the heart is. So good stuff. Broncos schedules, Rockies schedules. It's USA, easy to get. Then you also have Boomerang. You're familiar with Boomerang? They're started up again. Some of the Boomerang stuff that we've had, tickets to I don't even know if they do the Garden and Home Show right now, but they get stuff that's usable. So, and it's not expensive. And it's just, they're seeing your stuff every month. That's what, and like, what was your name? Morgan, like you were saying, this one is a really good one, the Corfact, because it gives them information. The little map is of their house and the souls that are around their house. And then they go in and they find their value. And chances are they're going to keep this rather than just throw it away. And there's a lot of stuff you can do. They have lots of options. Everything from newsletters to Bronco schedules to just listed. I do my just listed through Corfact. It's super easy. And my just sold through Corfact. Corfact. Oh, this one is just a marketing one. This is the neighborhood expert one. This is a neighborhood expert. Yeah, and this one just says, you put a lot, it just promotes us. But the one I really do like even more than that one is the long, I think it's in here. I like the jumbo or these long ones. Here's one. So here's one that we did. And it's got the map and everything, but this was a save the date that I used this instead of just listed. So I've got client appreciation shredathon, save the date information. I uploaded our invitation there, and then they also got the map, and so they could get their value. So there's a lot of things you can use for. And if you just go to corefact.com, you can look at their products, and you can find all kinds of stuff. They've got everything from newsletters to sports schedules to the market expert type of thing. So it's a great resource. And for 82 cents mailed, it's hard to beat. They got good quality paper. And then lastly, so your client appreciation program. It's harder to do client appreciation during COVID. It really is harder because people are nervous about necessarily knocking on doors and things. We have not stopped. Pop buys are one of the number one ways that we get business, and we do 10 to 20 pop buys a month, and that's exactly what they are, a pop buy. And there's so many ideas. You can go on Pinterest and look at pop buys. You can look at the popbuycompany.com, and they'll send them to you every month, and that's a really good deal. But I've looked at the correlation between the people we've popped by and our business, and I can tell you it is really strong. The people that we pop by, they are almost 100% going to use us as their agent. And they also know that if they don't, we're going to pop by and find out. So, right. But pop by, yeah, the popbuycompany.com or popbuy.com. If you Google it, you'll find them. There's two now. But the pop buy company or popbuy.com, you got 10 a month for $75. So it was only $7.50 per pop buy, and they bought in bulk. So they were nice stuff.
What is, I mean, like, you actually take it to their house?
Yeah. So so we use a little bag. I wish I had a example. I buy little bags on Amazon, just little bags. And you can talk. Kathy Burr in your office is one of the best pop by people I know. She's awesome. She's the one that got me in it. And she popped by my office recently with a scoop, an ice cream scoop. You can pop by agents too. Because let me tell you, I'll refer. I get one up here. She pops by all the time. But there's cool stuff that you can do. So let's see. Our pop by coming up for September is Boy Scout popcorn popping by. It's a really good one. But then you can also email your whole database and find out who has a Boy Scout and then order from them. So it's kind of a community thing. We last month we did luggage tags, and they were personalized. And we go tag, you're it. We can always help you find home. Just fun stuff. The relishes are one of the most popular ones that you see at Costco. The relish pack. That has ketchup, 2 ketchups, a mustard, and a relish. Those are the most common. And there's some fun stuff that you can do. But Popeyes are just basically something cool that you want to take out. Ice cream scoops are great. Here's the scoop on real estate. But we did like during COVID, we did like a COVID survival kit, and this was in April of 2020, because that's when it all started. And so we had a box, and we put in the box some Girl Scout cookies, a roll of toilet paper, a thing of sanitizer, and like a toilet book to read on. It was just fun stuff, but we get a lot of comments, and people always love it when we're popping by. So what do? No, you don't set an appointment to pop by, because it's just a pop by. What you do is you go to their house and you leave it on their door. You can knock if you feel that they would be comfortable with that. If they don't answer, I always just take a picture of myself at their door with, and hi, and text it to them. Say, I left goodies on your porch. That's it. One time, they said, that's not my porch. I'm like, well, I remember my clients, not always the houses. I see a lot of houses. And so I went back and I took another one to the right house. It was like being on an avenue instead of a way or something. And my client was like, I bet they think you're the best realtor ever. I'm like, well, that's cool that you would think that, but because I did that. But I mean, it was kind of embarrassing, but it's still funny. And pop-bys are a really easy way. You don't want to spend more than about $7.50 per pop-by and 10 or so a month. Now, it doesn't just have to be your database that you can pop by. You can pop by builders, get to know the on-site people. You can pop by apartment people, get to know the on-site people there. Business owners, just wherever you want to build some business. People like gifts. They do. And so, I mean, like at Father's Day, we did back scratchers and jerky and 2 scratch tickets and just fun stuff. So you just go to Pinterest and look up real estate pop-bys, and there's a endless supply of ideas.
Oh, great. Now I'll be up all night.
Oh, I know, right? It's like, oh my gosh. And I always like take screenshots, and I have like these saved folders of ideas. So much fun. Yeah. Like at Easter, we did the little ball jars and we put a little chocolate bunny inside with some grass and a little thing on it says, has some bunny outgrown their nest? It's just cute stuff. So anyway, that is a way of doing client appreciation. But another way that you can do that is small little appreciations. Like if you wanted to go out to eat with somebody, maybe a dinner appointment. Buffini always says dinner appointments for past clients, lunch and coffee for future clients. That's a pocketbook thing, but those are great things, those little get-togethers. And we just last weekend, over Labor Day weekend, we had a client come and stay up in our camper with us for a night. That's really interesting to spend the night with a client. It was fun though. But that's the relationship building part. These people are going to become your friends. And the more you build the relationship, they're not going to use anybody else. They're going to always refer you. And then they know you're coming too, because you'll pop by. And like with your favorite people, like your A++ people, you want to pop by like every other month. You want to make sure that they're that they know they're high up on your appreciation list. So it's fun. And we never make appointments, but we make appointments when we're popping by. So a lot of times they'll say, we got so many stops to do today, but let's set up a time to meet for dinner or for happy hour or for a glass of wine. And so we set up a lot of appointments for that when we're actually out on pop-bys. But we also get, hey, so-and-so is selling their house, or my son is talking about buying. And that's when you get them, when you're doing pop-bys. So think about that as something that you can do to really build your business as well. And so we're getting to the end here. I'm gonna just go through a lot of this is going to be homework for you. I know we have about 30 more minutes. We're 10 to 12:30, but you'll get out a little bit earlier. These 16 touch marketing plans are for your target groups. Remember when we were looking at the pillars and we're saying you need a plan for each one of these? This is how you plan it out. So what you're going to do in January, February, March, etc., for each one of these groups. So if it was open houses, I might just say I'm going to do 2 open houses a month, and I might at each open house have a theme. One of the people in class, and I love her, she's out of the Castle Rock office. She had a scavenger hunt at her open house. Now talk about fun. So she would get a reciprocal company like a HVAC place or some place that wanted to also offer a promotion and get that promotion during the open house. She'd have the business card placed in 3 places, and then she had a little sheet of paper. People had to list where they saw the 3 different business cards, and then there was a drawing. That person would sponsor whatever that it was that they did. It was kind of a fun thing that they did. So you can think outside the box for your open houses, and the better you do, the better the experience people have when they come to your open house, the better the chances are you're going to convert them. Because if you're the one in the corner, like, hey, let me know if you need anything, you're just going to melt in like everybody else.
I have 2
Yeah.
this weekend. I have a question.
Oh, good.
So they come in, they say, I have a realtor.
Mhm.
I kind of just let them,
Well, okay.
stay with them and talk to them, how do you feel, do you have any? Because I don't want to be like, oh, she would just leave me alone. We have a realtor.
Well,
Which a lot of them just say that.
that's the thing. A lot of them do just say that. It's just like when you go into the store. Yeah.
So I kind of trust them there.
Well, that's a thing to say, because you can, like, so if they say, yes, I have a realtor, you can say, oh, that's great. Who is it?
Yes, that's.
And then, like, if
I
they
know,
don't know,
yeah,
they're like,
that's right.
oh, and then you know, or you can say, oh, that's great. How long have you been looking? Or, you know, and then you'll find out, well, if you ask a few more questions, you don't want to cross a line. But a lot of times they are just saying that. So you kind of have to vet them a little. And say, oh, does your realtor work in this part of town? Or, you know, you can say different things like, oh, no, my realtor only works in Evergreen. It's like, oh, are you under an agreement with them? Oh, you're not. Okay, well, how about if I'm your realtor for this part of town? Or, you know, you can kind of get around that way. But that's something you have to be careful with. But it does. Most of the time they say, just like when you walk in the store and the help says, can I help you with something? No. Even if you really don't know where it is and you're going to look for the next hour, that happens. And lumpy mail is also really good for your target markets too, because lumpy mail is what you want to stick up on the fridge. So if you're using, you know, calendars and things like that, send them to your neighborhoods and your target markets too. Send them, have them available at your open house, or send them one. Yeah.
Yes, some chats.
Oh, we do. Oh, we do. Okay, let's see what we got here. There's my mouse. Oh, so we have. Let's see, 380 in Greeley. Wow. Fort Collins is right at 500. No math. Sorry, David. Good stuff in here. Cost versus value report. Look at that. That's good. So guys, if you don't, this is being recorded, so I should have this stuff as part of the recording. So good stuff. Then I go ahead and I use the lumpy mail on the people that I use for open houses. So if you haven't, you know, mailed out all your calendars, you usually haven't, just, you know, take that stuff to your open houses and get them in the hands of people. And there are the 8x8 lead follow-up plan. That is basically, that's one thing it's called a layered plan by Tom Ferry, different people. But the thing is, once you meet somebody, they don't remember you right away. So you want to remind them a bunch at first. Like, so let's say you meet somebody at your open house. Then you might say, your first touch would be a thank you note to them. Thank you for. Well, you're going to try. See, because the thing is, you have the responsibility of making sure that you know everybody that's been in that house for that seller. That's okay if you have to send an email. And sometimes it is bendover@aol.com or something. Yeah.
I haven't had that happen yet. I just said thank you for, even though they have a, you know, not offering my services, just thank you for stopping by. But
here's something that really helps. So right now you can say, please, you know, come on in. Welcome to our open house. We are required to get your information. This is a time of COVID, and we do have to make sure that we know every single person that's been through.
One big thing of COVID.
It's the law.
People understand.
Yeah.
That we have to get their
It's been so much better, and we can't use that script later, I'm sure, but we'll figure out a new one. But
They can't question. Yeah. Like,
it's
you know,
legit.
The people that own the home would like to know who's been coming through.
Yeah, and we're required to trace, make sure that we have contact information for anybody that's been through. So that does help a lot. And then if we don't have COVID though, it's still a security thing. You say the seller has required that we get information for anybody that does come through their home. And I have before, and I can remember it was an open house I was doing in Countryside, and they absolutely refused to give me the information. Say, well, I'm sorry, you cannot come in.
Good for you.
And they left. Yeah.
Good for you.
So, and I didn't let them in.
You'll say the seller is required.
Yep. I just say to the seller, would you require that? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's true, but still, they still want to know who's been through. And I've had people go in through a house and steal prescription drugs. I mean, people do stuff. So you really do want to know, because you are responsible for it. So you do want to know. And there are a lot of times they'll give you fake information, but a lot of times if they really do and they're looking for somebody and they're impressed with you because you're knowledgeable, you're talking with them, you're building rapport, and you have a follow-up, you always want to try for a follow-up, whether it's a phone call to send them a package of information or just something that they need to get them some information on the rec center or anything.
because then they'll give you information. I always do a drawing at my open houses because people want you to be able to give them their prize. Yeah.
Quick question. So if they say they have a realtor, but you get their information, could you add them to your boomerang list or anything?
You know, you could, but I would vet them to how serious they are. Yeah, because if they're under an agreement with somebody and they're currently, I wouldn't even bother.
but if they don't
Yeah.
talk a lot about it.
Yeah, and I would go ahead and just try to send them a thank you note and everything,
that's-
even if they're with somebody else. And I have had people like will show your listings and they'll leave instead of leaving a card, they have like a special thing printed out that says thank you for the opportunity to show your home, blah blah blah, and it's like really directed toward my seller. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying to get the information. But if you think that they have another agent and they're legitimately doing it, it's just a waste of your time.
Yeah.
So that's what, yeah. But these 8x8 follow-up plans, you'd have one for Emma. So with an open house, we didn't have an address, you could send an email. Thank you for coming. Maybe send them a link into your portal so they could do their own home searches. That's another really great thing. Then maybe a phone call. Hey, did you get the link? Did it work okay? And then maybe a couple things, maybe your bio, maybe a calendar or something that you saved. And a follow-up, how's it going, phone call, and then your final, little note, I'm always here for you. And then you put them into your sphere of influence. But the 8x8 is just because Hobbs and Herder did studies that people have to hear from you 8 times before they remember you.
So each 8x8, that's for one person.
Yeah. Yep. 8 touches.
Each person has their own card.
Yep. And you could just have a plan too. Here's my open house plan. And these are what the 8 touches are going to look like. Or this is my geographical plan, or this is my when I meet a new client plan. No, that's great. I love questions. Oh, yay. So the next one, the 90-day goals, is one of my favorites because this is one of the really hard things. So the first one. So this doesn't matter if it's January. This is your new career, the next year. That's why we didn't put January to December on any of this. This is your next year. What are you going to do over the next 90 days that you really need to do? Something is on your plate that you've been procrastinating that you need to get done. Maybe you want to delegate it. Is there, what are you going to delegate it? Or maybe you've had something on your plate that just needs deleted. So this is your cleanup part. In the next 90 days, what are you going to do? What are you going to delegate? And what are you going to delete? So that you're really prepared. And the biggest challenge of doing this and the biggest reward. So let me just give you an example. Does anybody have a messy garage or a messy office that you've had on your list that you want to clean it out? Or maybe you need to go through your storage room or just something that's been on your list, right? That's just creating mind clutter for you. What needs to go? Let's get fresh, okay? So do it, delegate it, delete it. And then time management goals. And I love this one. And you've probably seen the visual illustration where somebody takes a jar and the first thing they put in it are the big rocks. Okay, so imagine a jar. I wish I had my visual. So you take a jar and you put the big rocks in the jar. And let's say you can fit 6 big rocks in that jar. And then, okay, so now that big rocks were your daily appointments, by the way. Those are the most important thing. You've got to put them in first. So then you take some little rocks and you put them in. They kind of fall around the big rocks and they fit in. That's your lead generation. Those are your small rocks. Those are really important though. And then you've got some sand. So you can pour some sand in there and it goes between all the rocks and the little rocks and the big rocks. That's your transaction follow-up and your details. Really important stuff. You have to fit it in. Okay, so it's all full of sand. It's all full of rocks. It looks like it's full now, but you can pour in water. That's the water. And those are the things that are least important. Errands, which by the way, statistically, that's where most agents waste their time, is running errands. So it's kind of funny. And social media. So errands, social media, doing email and all your admin stuff. That's your water. So imagine this. So imagine you start out with your errands, your social media, your email and your admin. You fill that jar up with water. how many big rocks can you get in there? How much sand and little rocks? You can't fit them in there anymore. That's why it's so important to start with the things that are most important. Make time for those first. So block in your daily appointments. And you know what? You probably maybe can have one appointment a day, right? And it takes like 2 hours. So if you say, okay, between 1 and 3, I'm blocking in appointments this week. So, and then between 9 and 11, I'm blocking in my lead generation. And then 11 to 12, I'm going to work on transaction details. And then, geez, from 3 to 5, I'm going to do my water. And there's time for everything. You just have to block it in the right place. And if you spend all your time, really the water is the busy work, the supportive work. And that's the illustration. If you spend all your time on the supportive work, then you're not going to have any time for your dollar productive work. And then you end up working all the time and not making any money, which really stinks. So,
And what is ETC?
etc. It's whatever. Yeah. Yeah. It's all that other stuff that wastes time. Yeah. And not even necessarily a waste, because some of it's really important. You just have to be strategic about it. Okay, and now you've got some homework on these goals. Remember when we did that reality check in the beginning and we talked about the things that are most important, where you want to see the most improvement? Here's where you really think about these things. So where do you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years? So you got to think about that. Now you're starting your business out now. Do you want an established business where 80% of your business is coming to you? How much do you want to work? Are you really wanting to work a 40 or 50-hour week, or would you prefer a 30-hour week? You know, you can make this happen. This is your life. Areas where you'd like to see the most change. That's a big thing. And only you know where your weaknesses are and where you have to be able to change, or your strengths and where you need to build. Because if you build only on your weaknesses, you only become average. If you build on your strengths, you become great. So think about strengths. 3 to 5 things that must happen and key areas you need to master. And same thing in your personal. So, you know, in 3 to 5 years, if you want to buy investment property, or you want to go to Disney World, or you want to get married, or whatever it is, what are the areas where you need to see the most change, and 3 to 5 things that have to happen. And so those are goal setting. Those are your midterm. Then you've got your yearly, which are your more short term. And I split this up into 5 different or 4 different areas, because these are some of the major things. So I have spiritual first. And the thing is, you know, maybe it is that you have, you know, something that you want to do. Think about what could get in your way. That's why it's got obstacles you'll face. Family goals. If you want to go to Disney World, obstacles that you might face might be not having enough money, or you know, COVID, or things like that. Have an action plan, because when you're going through any kind of trainings, for example, like dive training, I'm a diver. When we went through dive training, they didn't say, here's how you swim. They said, here's how you get to the top if you run out of air, or here's how you share air with a buddy. Or, you know, they trained us to deal with the problems that come up. And when you're doing your goals, think about that. What's going to get in your way to derail you, and having a plan of action for when that, because something's going to derail you. And, you know, we thought it might be COVID for a while, but we actually did really well. We were able to have an adjustment in the way we were doing things. And so, you know, for a while we were mailing our pop buys and sending a lot of letters. We didn't knock on doors. You know, we had to do virtual showings, virtual meetings. And I personally thought the virtual showings were pretty cool. You didn't have to get in your car. And the listing appointments were great too. We did a bunch of listing appointments on Zoom, and then you don't actually meet until they're signing papers. So there were some benefits to that too, but the action plan is just as important as the goal. And then budgeting, which is not fun, but it's really important. So on these pages, page 17, notice in the middle of the page, there's a red line. It says GCI. That's your gross commission income. So let's say in our example that we had $100,000. Our prospecting and marketing budget then would be $10,000, because you're going to spend about 10% of your gross on your prospecting and marketing. So think about that. Don't be one of those people that doesn't spend any money, so you're not getting any business. You do have to spend some money, but you're not going to spend 10% now. spend what you have to now, get things going, put your plan together. And then at the end of the year, when you've had your own statistics, you know how much money you've made the next 12 months, you know, you're going to learn. And then let's say you made $80,000, budget in 8,000 next year for what you're going to do. And build it as you go. You don't want to spend it out the door. You just have to build. I knew one lady that went out and bought a billboard. She spent like $40,000 on a billboard. I'm like, well, that's a waste of money because nobody calls a real estate agent off a billboard. No, but I mean, she spent her whole entire marketing budget and then some right out of the gate. So if you're going to earn $100,000, you're not going to spend more than about $800 a month on marketing and prospecting. So if you go sign up for a $1,500 or $2,000 Zillow account, you just blew your budget. So think about those things going in. So budgeting, the prospecting and marketing budget is specific here to your program, your client appreciation. You can break it down to every single little thing you're going to spend money on. And the most important thing though, is to have that plan. And it's not on this sheet, but let me just share something that my coach tells me. And it's worked really well for us. And I've been doing this for 35 years. So I've had a bill to the IRS before, and the IRS does not like to be the bank. So they do not like when, and like only about 25% of realtors pay their taxes on time. So realtors are a problem to the IRS, and they see it that way, and they will audit us. So what you want to do is open up enough accounts so that you can manage your money, so that your commissions can go into one account. Then you can move the money over to your personal account and your business account as needed. The money that you're going to spend, and then the rest of your money can stay in that savings account, so to speak. Have the money going in there, and then only putting enough into your other two accounts will really help a lot. And one of the best things any advice is take that 15 to 20% out of every closing and put it in a tax account. So for your quarterly taxes, or else at the end of the year, it is awful. When you get, say you had a great year and then you get a $30,000 tax bill, it really erases the elation that you have from that year. But if you have that 30,000 sitting in the bank, ready to go, where you've actually paid it quarterly after your first year. But it's so much better to actually do your taxes and like even get a little back than having a huge tax bill, because it's awful. And realtors are notorious about having huge tax bills. It is true. So we are at the end of our session. So here's your homework though. So you've got to go through and do your goals. You've got to work on your big why and your mission statement, but you're not probably going to have it done by next week. This stuff takes time. So schedule a day that you can spend several hours, you know, alone with little distraction and being able to really think about this stuff. But every day you're going to need to make your two-way calls or contacts, 5 a day, 2 new conversations, as many as you can every day. That's the hard one. So when you make that 2, it's a real good accomplishment. Your thank you notes, and you know, you can get custom thank you notes done by Shannon in the marketing department that have your information on them and everything. They look great. She does a great job. And you can go to the My Alliance app and the marketing tab, and you can order, or you can even have her design your own personal ones if there's a certain look that you wanted that has your logo and stuff. She's really good about that. Oh yeah, you have Tiffany. Yeah. That's awesome. Tiffany she's amazing. But that whole marketing department is such an advantage. They don't even charge anything except printing when you get it printed. It's really awesome. And those personal notes are great to have. So you've got your 7 thank you notes and updating your CRM. That's really important. And you don't need to go out and buy a CRM because you have the Vault. And I prefer the Vault over Bouge right now. Bouge has been improving, but it's not quite there yet. And like I said, I'm a Buffini person, and I'll be doing Buffini again in January for the essentials for the next step. And you'll see it on the newsletter. It's a great program, all relationship based. But here's, got to preview your 10 properties every week, visit open houses, and take notes. You just have to be better than them. right? And it's not hard. You'll go see. And you'll be like, oh, I can totally do this. My RU is a great place for resources and building your confidence and having that self-esteem. Yeah, and you go to Max Center to get to Remax University. And you can put in like in the videos, you can put in like categories and oh, there's so many. There's so much in there. So some really fun stuff too. Classes. And so you've got classes here, you've got classes through your board, you've got classes through the title companies. You know, that's sharpening the saw, your pop buys and your coffee meetings. And, you know, coffee meetings are still happening. So if you've got people that are comfortable with meeting up for coffee, it's a great way to do that. But if you have people that aren't, you can do Zoom coffee meetings and do Zoom meetings. We did Zoom happy hours too. We got this one thing, Jackbox games. Don't get that. It made my computer crash. But it was fun to play games. Have you ever heard of it? It's crazy stuff. But we would play games with our clients and stuff online. It was fun. A client introduced me to it. But you just get creative because it's really about spending time with people. However you're going to do that. If you have the option to spend time with somebody versus going and working on a listing package or something for next week, go to the people, because always spending time with people is going to give you your best reward. And so you have to like people. So hopefully all of you like people, because if you don't, it makes this business really hard. I have met realtors before that don't like people. You'll run into them out there and you'll know who they are. Right. And you've got your materials. Do let me know if you're missing any of these materials. And Nick Paynes does a mastermind that's awesome for newer agents. So you'll see, yeah, that mastermind on the professional development newsletter. Jump in on that. And the last thing here is for you to think of obstacles. What could possibly get in your way of your success in this business? And what will you do to overcome it? So that's something to really think about. If you have a really, you've got to talk with your significant others, your families, so that they really understand that when you're first in this business, it takes some time, and to have a little more flexibility as far as your schedule goes. Because if you have buyers that need to look, sometimes it takes you away from your family. But then I'll tell you, if you have appointments with your family, don't cancel them. I have 2 ex-husbands, by the way. Don't cancel them. I learned. No, but really, you have to keep your family important in your life because they are. And if you have an appointment with them, your clients don't have to know. You just say, well, I already have an appointment, but I could do this time or that time. So keep your family first. But thank you for your time. I look forward to buyers next week. Less numbers and less math. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hope you have a great day and we will see you next week.
Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.